This is Warlord 12, and I'm gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm starting to see a lot of videos pop up of people trash talking foreigners in Japan, right? I understand when foreigners are doing stuff they're not supposed to do in another country, fine, right? But the continuous bashing, right? And then your prime minister is talking about foreigners in Japan. See, I actually noticed something. I said, all of you people in Japan talk so much trash about foreigners, even those outside of Japan, right? You got white people talking about it, and other people from other cultures, right? But I'm gonna say this because I noticed none of you talk about the foreigners that are in Japan. Yeah, it's funny. I don't really see people in Japan making videos trash talking the foreigners that are in their own land. And I'm not talking about people that are of basically they're black and they're Japanese or mixed people. No, I'm talking about the people that grew up in Japan who are Japanese, right? Because you don't talk trash about them. No, I have a really good example today about that. So I want to talk about Nintendo. They're foreigners, right? So I want to know a question here. You want to talk about foreigners causing problems in your own land and everything. So tell me why Nintendo is causing problems in America, right? Now, what do you mean by problems? Well, Nintendo decided to make a patent when it comes to not being able to have, summonings in video games, right? Summonings are something that's been around for ages and centuries before Nintendo all over the world. So when we talk about causing trouble, we talk about foreigners causing trouble and problems. That's what Nintendo's doing, and they're a foreigner, right? They're not American. They're not in the USA, right? See, well, I'm bringing this up for a good reason. Because why does a foreigner have so much control and so much authority over, certain patents in America? You come from a different country and you're able to have so much influence on, you know, for what's allowed and what's not allowed for video games when it comes to a patent. And let's just be clear here, because when we talk about tourism, right? No, Nintendo didn't want to negotiate because of, they want to do some sightseeing or whatever it is, things like that. No, they wanted to make some type of patent because they have some type of petty beef between another game company that made a better video game than they did. So let's talk about that, right? I definitely want to get more into this foreigner stuff, but I know there's a lot of people that are gonna keep damage controlling, trying to talk about, well, Pokemon was first. Nintendo did that. That was the original idea from Nintendo. Well, guess what? I have receipts, showing things that were already out before Nintendo, before Pokemon, right? And one of the things I do want to show is how, basically how similar something looks, or showing how Nintendo's ideas kind of look like a ripoff of something else, right? This one's my favorite because Nintendo's always crying wolf, talking about irreparable damages. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. Your jank looks like a transformer. Transformers were first, right? And you got this right here, and you're acting like other people are copying your work, when actually Nintendo is the one that's been copying a bunch of different video games and, video game companies. So we're going to put that out there, right? When we talk about this foreigner stuff, look, I like Japan, but this really needs to stop now. So before the Pokeball, right? And then you have the Pocket Monsters. We already had that. We already had that before, Pokemon. So, like those vending machines with the toys, with the plastic spheres, right? You had some that had like creatures inside the spheres. So yes, we had that before Pokemon. So just like how the Prime Minister in Japan and others in Japan want to hold tourists and foreigners accountable, I expect the same to be said and known about Nintendo. Because it's not just about Nintendo. I'm talking about this when it comes to all these, high up rich companies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just like Nintendo and companies that's like them, they have so much power, right? They have so much money. I hope they will be held to the same standards. See, you know what the difference between Johnny Somali? Oh, by the way, I know you can't stand Johnny Somali, right? So this is how this comparison works so well. So you understand exactly what the problem is, right? See, the difference between Johnny Somali and Nintendo is that, see, Johnny doesn't have enough money, right, to bully others, right? Johnny doesn't have enough money and power to manipulate the system in another land or country, unlike Nintendo, right? Now, let's talk about why these two are so similar, right? Because Nintendo has a problem with their patent lunacy and trolling. With their patent trolling. What does Johnny Somali do? He trolls, right? See, Nintendo is just a troll who has more money to bully others and push people around and throw their weight around. That's the main difference, and those are the main similarities. But you won't talk about that, huh? And now I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm at it, address the prejudice going on too. Because, so, a bunch of people who are white or people that are of whatever culture they're from, right? You know, they talk so much trash about Indians. They talk so much trash about black people, even when it comes to this foreigner stuff. But yet, you need us for all those views and all that money. Yeah, you've been making money off of us with those videos that you make. You talk so much trash about us. See, the problem is, the irony is, you're so obsessed with us. You're obsessed with making money off of us. Yeah, and so what I'm saying is, some of you out there that are doing this, you didn't like indigenous people to begin with. You didn't like Aboriginal people to begin with. You didn't like Indians to begin with. But you sure don't mind making money off of us, huh? So since you don't like us so much, why don't you stop making a profit off of us while you're at it? Oh yeah, back to you, Japan. I want to say this, when it comes to this sign here, right? Because you didn't have to slap a skin color on this particular picture. You could have just put, like maybe a certain type of hairstyle, but to go that far with the skin color. So yeah, why am I going so hard in this video? Oh, you didn't mind going that hard on that, this image right here. You didn't mind going that hard on the art, right? So that's why I'm going hard. You don't like it, huh? See, just like how you didn't care when you made this image, I also don't care. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't like my videos, but I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care. I'm going to say it. Don't talk trash about foreigners if you're not going to trash talk the foreigners of your own land like Nintendo.